Five.
Can you ever get over this obstacle in your relationship?
Yeah.
We are live on the Miguel and Holly and the Hot 1015 Facebook page. So if you can't call in to give some advice, maybe you can hop onto the Facebook page and help out there.
Mm-hmm.
And this all stems from a friend of yours, Holly.
Yes. So she's had she's been in a relationship with the same guy for probably like 3 years now. It's been a while. And at first things were great. I would say the first 6 months to a year were good. And then she realized this man doesn't have a lot of motivation in life. He kind of gets by with some money from his dad. He's a very heavy drinker. He's kind of messy. And so, they had fights, and they've had she's told him, she's given him an ultimatum. She's like, you got to clean yourself up. And then there's just been a couple different issues between his drinking and her trying to get him, the help that he may need.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot. I think there've been he's had some legal issues. There's a lot altogether. And then there was one major explosive thing where he didn't come home for I don't know, several days. And after this entire thing, she's like, you gotta move out. So they had a break apart. And then slowly through one thing or another, he ended up starting AA. So he's starting on that path. He's trying to get himself together, not lean on the dad so much. I think he's gotten a job. He's doing some charity work, something. And he's trying to kind of get better. And he's back in the house. And so they're together. So she's like, okay, we go through all this. This has been a saga. But she's like, but there's one issue, because I'm glad that he's doing all this. I'm glad that he's gotten himself figured out. And it seems like things are doing well. They've been pretty well for the last 6 months. But she's like, it's the ick factor.
The ick factor.
I have run into the ick factor.
What is that?
So the ick factor can happen at any point in a relationship. I don't know if this is a new term for you, but what it is maybe, and this is why I say it can happen at any point. Let's say you've gone out on a couple of dates with someone, and all of a sudden it kind of happens out of nowhere. Maybe you see the way that they I don't know, eat their food. Yes. Something you see or hear from this person, you kind of get grossed out by them. And it's a switch flips, and you just feel icky. And you really liked them before, but now it's please don't come near me. I'm grossed out. It's called the ick factor. And it could be on a first date this happens, and you're like, well, shut this down.
Yeah.
I've never really heard of it. And this is what her and I were discussing. We've never really heard of it happening necessarily 3 years in, but it can happen 10 years in. I don't know. Once you get the ick factor though, what do you do? Because she's like, I appreciate that he's doing all these things that are making himself better. And it seems like he's, really getting grounded here in reality. But she's like, he'll put his hand on my knee in bed. And I'm like, don't touch me. It's the ick factor.
Unfortunately, in my experience, you can't get it back.
Once you go ick,
its course.
Yeah.
It's can you flip it back to normal?
Because I've had this happen to me in a relationship years ago where I found out early on that they had cheated, and we had worked past it, and I was finally getting myself more comfortable and trusting. And then I went away for a trip. And because I was we have a past, I know what has happened. I did some digging, and there was just some suspicious things that I saw. Didn't confirm that they were cheating, but it just looked like it did. And I couldn't get it back after that. After that moment, and I remember I saw the messages, and after that, every time they would try to kiss me, touch me, anything, I just was ugh. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And so then a couple months later, we had one small fight. And I was just I can't, I'm done. There was just I had no fight left in me.
Yeah.
Because the ick factor had taken over.
How long did it take? How long did you stay in the relationship with the ick?
Probably 6 months.
Wow.
That's
Probably
a pretty
6 months.
long
Because I
time.
tried to work past it.
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to like maybe let's do date nights or let's go on an
Right.
adventure with the two of us or let's talk more. We tried all these things
Yeah.
and I just could never get it back. And I don't know if you can.
Yeah, that's what she and I were talking about, because she's like, I'm in a better place now, and I do want to see him get better, and I like kind of where we're at, but I'm still kind of like, don't touch me.
Maybe it's better from afar watching him get better, but maybe it's not with you.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm curious, have you been able to overcome the ick factor in your relationship? And how did you do it? Was it maybe therapy? Was it a special retreat somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you get over the ick factor in your relationship? 877-999-1015. Call us up or hop on the Miguel and Holly and the Hot 1015 Facebook page and leave your advice there. We will take your calls next. We are live on the Miguel and Holly and the Hot 1015 Facebook page where we need some advice about the ick factor. Holly, what's going on with your friend?
She has been in a relationship for 3 years. It's been troubled, especially over like the last couple of years. And they were almost at the point of breaking up. He was doing some really bad stuff. Then recently, within the last 6 months or so, has sort of gotten himself cleaned up, is being a better human in general, a better partner. And she's like, things are better, but I have the ick factor now. And like when he touches me, I'm like, ugh, don't. So we were talking about this the other day, and she's like, I really don't know what to do about that. She's like, hopefully it gets better, but I don't know.
And so
Oh.
that's what we're trying to figure out. Is it possible to get over that ick factor? And if you have, like, how did you accomplish that?
Yeah.
Alicia and Mulberry, you have really interesting experience being married for 25 years. And you said you've reached this before? And how did you work past it?
Mm.
Interesting. Okay, so I can see in like a long-term marriage
Yeah.
where you do have those little things that pop up that totally makes sense in that case and how to get over it.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I kind of feel like in this situation, it's almost like the universe telling her to like, hey, maybe
you,
it's
Alicia.
time for you to go on to somebody else. Because it just feels like in this relationship, it really has done its
Yeah.
course. You've tried so hard, 3 years.
Yeah.
You
Right.
fought. It's not like you were doing the wrong. It's like this guy his life was all over the place.
Yes.
And so in my eyes, I'm like, hey, this may be some higher being being like, hey, because it's time for you to move on.
Like, just trust your body.
Chantel and Hudson, so you went through this. Did it work or did it not?
Mm.
Mm.
Interesting.
You can be as optimistic as you want,
Right.
but also you have to, I guess, be a little bit realistic and see where are you just putting on rose-colored glasses
Right.
in this relationship.
And if you're ever able to get past it. Thank you so much for your phone call, Chantel. And I mean, I feel like there's a difference here, what we're talking about when it comes to the ick factor, whereas Alicia being married for 25 years, and there's those personal things that pop up, and then you have those like your friend Holly, who, I mean, those are big issues that I just don't know if you can ever get over those.
Mm.
Lexi in Brooksville, what was the ick factor in your relationship?
Mm.
Lexi, thank you for your phone call.
I guess a lot of it depends on, thank you, how long you've been with the person, what your history
Yeah.
is together. How long did you have good times together before you had bad times together? Because like I think a lot of people have had ick factor. Like I had ick factor while I was dating long ago,
Right.
and it was like so sudden and so like the ick factor came on so quickly, and we didn't have history together at all. And I was like, well, with this,
Done.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but I don't want you to touch me ever again. Sorry.
Trisha on the Facebook page said, I got the ick factor after 5 years with my ex,
Mm.
who now is trying to get himself better. But to this day, he tries to get me back, and I've tried and tried to get past it, but it just hasn't worked. I continue to see him now as unattractive.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully your friend will make a decision on how to, if she can get past it. And you got to be honest with yourself if you think you can get past it.
Yeah. And it's always sad to end a relationship, and it takes a lot of courage to go either way. So glad we got this
conversation going on.
It is 7:37. Over the next few days, we are checking in with some of our favorite Hall of Fame blown-offs as we prepare for the live show Thursday and finally play the craziest blown-off that we've never been able to air. And tickets are on sale now at hot1015tampabay.com. So we will get to our first Hall of Fame blown-off next on Hot 101.5. Right now, it's Ed Sheeran with Shivers.
Sorry, guys, not sure what happened with the audio on that when we were have the callers on. Sorry about that.